B Simone has a beautiful and authentic relationship with her best friend Shekinah, and I just think that y'all are haters and projectors, and y'all don't like B Simone, and y'all want to see her fail, which is why y'all are saying all these bad things about her. I just finished listening to the podcast episode, and I actually want to refute a lot of the claims that y'all have been making about B Simone with the information that I just got from the podcast. Because I think it's a beautiful podcast episode. If you haven't listened to it in its entirety, please go do so, especially before you engage in this conversation. Now, what I'm about to outline wasn't the order that the conversation was had, but if you listen to the conversation, this will make perfect sense to you, right? So B Simone talks about having a history of helping people out of obligation. Those same people that she was giving cars and houses and throwing money in at, right? She talked about that being her past, and she was helping all the wrong people. And then she became kind of jaded and she wasn't helping people because it was giving her a sense of anxiety. And she learned her lesson, so she didn't want to help anybody else out of obligation, right? Additionally, she kind of talks about where B Simone is right now. She's in a selfish period. B Simone is in a period where she needs to be worrying about herself, where B Simone needs to consider B Simone first instead of considering a bunch of other people. Now, Shekinah talks about how this year specifically was a tough year for her. Right? Repossession, getting kicked out of her place, living with her mama, Medicaid, food stamps, whatever it was, right? This year, she had a hard year, and I don't know how long ago her grandma passed away, but something that came up was that, like, when her grandma passed away, B Simone came to her and said, "In what ways can I help you?" Excuse me, truth bird. And then Shekinah said, "I want you to feel comfortable showing up without being asked. I was grieving, and it's difficult for, I'm grieving and going through a hard time, and it's difficult for me to show up and ask for help." So if B Simone went through a period of her life and learned a lesson to where she stopped helping people out of obligation, and she's currently asking people, do they want help? I think it's safe to assume that Shekinah might not have been asking for help. Again, I could be wrong. Now, me personally, I would have helped out anyway. I would have offered, right? But that's just me. But that brings me to my next point, that sometimes we take knowing how to be a good friend for granted. That is not a natural skill to everybody. I know that social media and the television shows that we see will make it seem like that everybody knows how to be a good friend, but I want to tell you right now that that is not the reality. It's not the reality, and no friendship is perfect. And then even the other thing I find to be beautiful about this is that Shekinah is not asking for B Simone to be perfect. They're not asking for each other to be perfect, but they're asking to be aware, right? They're asking to be aware. And she told her ways that she can improve being a better friend, and she received it. Like, damn. So they had these difficult conversations on camera, gave each other notes on how to be better friends, and then they took them. And she's a terrible, selfish friend? Y'all didn't watch the podcast. Y'all watched that clip, and you feel a way about the clip that you saw. Other thing that I want to say is that, like, again, if you've been following B Simone's journey, you know that she has a difficult relationship with her mother. And then the relationships that we have with our mother, especially women, the relationship that they have with their mothers will teach them how to navigate friendships with other women, right? But if that relationship is strained, you know what I mean? You have to learn how to be a better friend outside of the household. That is a challenge that you're just going to have. I could be wrong, but learning how to treat and respect and be nurturing and comforting and to show up for emotionally for other women is a skill that will have to be learned if you did not learn it in the home with your mother. And last but not least, before we move on from this friendship conversation, B Simone just said that she didn't have no liquid funds. She was just on the camera crying about having to shop at H&M. Again, I'm not watching her pockets, and I don't know how little liquid funds she actually has. But if Shekinah is having a bad time this year, right? And then B Simone has been developing this app this year, and because she's been investing in this app this year, she doesn't have any liquid funds. I'm not sure how helpful she was going to be to Shekinah or how much room she has. And again, I'm not saying that she's right one way or the other. I'm just extending grace to saying we don't know the whole situation, but if you listen to it, there's plenty of reasons as to why B Simone might not have been able to help. The other thing that I talk about that I feel like y'all are doing way too much on is like when Shekinah said that she had an opportunity and B Simone called her back and said, I didn't like the way that I felt about that. Right, again, completely honest and authentic conversation. I don't know no honest friends who can just have honest conversations like this. If she was really selfish and shady and all the stuff y'all are claiming her to be, I don't think she would have ever brought that to Shekinah. But I digress. And this is where I relate to B Simone, right? Like when you're like an entrepreneur, right? Or when your friends see you as successful, right? I'll use myself as an example right quick, right? I have 50,000 followers, which I don't think is that many, but I read tarot online. I do UGC ads all the time. And with the life that I've created and the skills that I've learned, I'm able, to sustain myself. So whenever my friends come say, I love what you're doing, I say, come do it with me. And that's really what I want. I want my inner circle to grow in the ways that I am and for us to be collaborative, right? To come with me. So whenever a new opportunity comes around, I'm like, come do it with me, right? Oh, I think this would be good for you. Let's collaborate. Let's build together. And I feel like B Simone's disappointment or hurt or frustration was her friend got an opportunity that wasn't with her. It wasn't with. Y'all are saying that B Simone is a shady friend because she wants to be responsible for her friend's success. But none of the words in that conversation led me to that. She said, I was upset because I wanted you to do that with me. Not I wanted you to do the opportunities I want you to do. Not I told you to do this and you didn't do it, so you did something else. But that I want us to grow and to build and to be rich together. I think that's a fair human emotion to have, and they had a conversation about it, which is beautiful. Now, should she be happy for her friend in whatever circumstance and whatever successes that they have? Yes, absolutely. But she's human and you can't control your emotions. Y'all want emotions to be logical so bad, and that's just not the case. That's just not the case. Okay? You love men with no money and got one pair of jeans. What's logical about that? But, and again, Shekinah is not asking for perfection. She's asking for awareness, which again, I think is beautiful. Up next, this is the one critique that I do have for B Simone, that I do feel like where she has an opportunity for growth, right? Is when she talks about like not wanting her employees or the people working with her to have other aspirations. And not necessarily other aspirations, but if they're going to come work with her in her app and her business, she wants that to be the focus. And I think she has to think that way, right? She has a vision. She has a vision and there's a place that she wants to go. And when somebody says, I want to be on your team and work with you, it just needs to be clear and concise and predictable. Because they said that she doesn't want to be left high and dry. And you have to understand as a business owner, right, when you pull people on your team and they're going to work with you indefinitely or for 6 months or for a year or whatever, and then a quarter into that time frame, they're like, oh, I got to head out. And some of them, they just drop out. They just quit. You know what I mean? You have less time. Now you got to stop, come up with a plan, train a new person, have that person get adjusted to the team, and now you're behind schedule, right? I think it's fair for her to say, like, if you're going to be a part of this company, tell me it's a year. Tell me it's a 6 months so we can craft a plan, an incoming, an outgoing, and it's clear and you can go off and do your own thing. I feel like what B Simone really has to learn from this is that not everybody is supposed to be a part of your business for the lifetime of your business, right? The only person that's supposed to be there for the lifetime of the business since its inception is the founder. Yeah, everybody else, it's kind of like life, right? There are those seasons. There are these coming and growing seasons. Some people come into your company not to be fulfilled there, but to learn one skill and then to leave. And I think B Simone wants clarity around that. What are you coming here to learn? How do you want to contribute and how long you want to do it, right? But don't say you're going to come here and be fulfilled and then actually this isn't what you want to do. You're not going to find your fulfillment here. But yeah, this has been so long. But it was just a really, really good podcast episode. Outside of that, I think that was a beautiful podcast episode. And if you're going to be engaging with this conversation, you should go listen to it.